If someone were to ask me, Jim, what's the secret to wealth and success? I'd say, there is no secret, just simple truths. And here's one of them. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. You see, we all have dreams. Dreams of wealth, freedom, success. But dreams alone don't change your life. Habits do. And not just any habits, the right ones. The ones that shape not only your bank account, but your character. The kind of habits that turn average people into extraordinary achievers. I used to think success came from luck, or maybe the economy, or the government. But then, I met a man who changed my life. His name was Mr. Schoaf. He told me something I never forgot. Jim, if you want things to change, you have to change. And if you want things to get better, you have to get better. He said, don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. And that's where it began. That's where I started to understand. Your income is rarely more than your level of personal development. If you want to have more, you must become more. And how do we become more? Habits. You don't suddenly wake up rich. You don't stumble into character. You build it. One choice at a time. One discipline at a time. One small habit repeated daily until it becomes your identity. See, everybody ends up somewhere in life, but only a few people end up somewhere on purpose. And those people, they have a habit structure, a philosophy they follow, a code they live by. That's what builds character. That's what creates wealth. Now, I want to be very clear. I'm not just talking about money. Wealth is more than finances. It's richness in relationships, in purpose, in peace of mind. And character? Character is who you are when no one's watching. It's what allows you to handle success when it finally arrives. What good is money if your character is bankrupt? What good is a business if your integrity is missing? And how long will wealth last if discipline isn't there to protect it? So today, I want to walk you through the 3 foundational habits that build not only wealth, but the kind of character that can sustain it. And here's the good news. Anyone can develop these habits. Doesn't matter where you start. Doesn't matter your background, your past, or your present. What matters is your direction. As I've said for years, you cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight. So if you're ready to change direction, if you're ready to start becoming the person who attracts success, then you're in the right place. Because the right habits, practiced with intention, can take you from where you are to where you want to be. Wealth, character, impact. It all begins with what you do every single day. Are you ready to build those habits? Let's begin with the first one, self-education, the habit that transformed my life. Key habit 1, self-education, the investment that pays the best interest. I want to tell you, something that changed the entire trajectory of my life. It was this simple truth: formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. Let me repeat that. Because when I first heard it, I didn't believe it either. But once I lived it, I never forgot it. Now, don't get me wrong. School is important. I'm glad I learned how to read, write, and count. But the education that transformed my life didn't come from a classroom. It came from the books I read after I left school. It came from the seminars I attended. It came from asking questions, listening carefully, and staying curious. Self-education is the daily discipline of becoming more valuable. See, the marketplace pays for value, not effort, not time, not potential, but value. And how do you become more valuable? You learn more, you grow more, you develop skills, you increase your understanding. And all of that comes from the habit of self-education. When I first met Mr. Schoaf, I was broke, not just financially, but mentally. I didn't have a philosophy. I didn't read. I didn't study. I had a job, but I wasn't working on myself. He said, Jim, what you have at the moment you've attracted by the person you've become. Let me tell you, I didn't like hearing that, but he was right. If you want more, you've got to become more. And to become more, you must learn more. So I started reading. First, it was a book a month. Then it was a book a week. Books on success, leadership, money, health, relationships, character, you name it. And let me tell you, the first book I ever read cover to cover changed my life more than 4 years of schooling ever did. I made it a habit. Every day, invest 30 minutes to an hour in self-education. Now, someone might say, Jim, I'm just too busy to read or learn something new every day. I say, you're too busy not to. What's the cost of not learning? Missed opportunities, poor decisions, low income, stagnation. Here's the truth. You can either spend 5 years growing or spend 5 years repeating the same year 5 times. It's your choice. And it doesn't take a miracle, just a commitment. One new idea, well executed, can change everything. So start a journal, take notes, highlight books, listen to audio programs in the car, watch a video that feeds your mind instead of drains it. Create your own personal development curriculum. Because the more you learn, the more you earn. Not just in money, but in confidence, clarity, and capacity. And let's talk about character. When you read about great people, about their struggles, triumphs, values, and lessons, something happens to you. Your perspective widens, your empathy deepens. Your ability to lead, serve, and connect grows. That's what builds character, exposure to timeless principles practiced in the furnace of real life. Let me give you one more quote. Don't just read the easy stuff. You may be entertained, but you won't grow. Growth requires challenge. So read something that stretches you. Learn something that scares you a little. Ask questions that force you to think at a higher level. That's how you evolve. That's how you separate yourself from the average. Remember, you don't need to read 500 books a year. You just need to read one good book and apply it 500 times. So I challenge you. Build the habit of self-education. Start with 30 minutes a day. That's all. 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year. That's 250 hours of growth. That's enough time to learn a new skill, start a business, double your income, or even change your life. The habit of self-education is one of the highest ROI habits in existence. Wealth and character are not reserved for the elite. They're reserved for the committed, the learners, the readers, the thinkers. So if you're serious about building a life of success and substance, start feeding your mind. Because what you put in will eventually come out. In your words, your habits, your results. Let's move on now to the second habit that builds wealth and character, the habit of daily discipline. Key habit 2, daily discipline. The bridge between goals and accomplishment. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful habits I ever learned, the habit of daily discipline. You see, everyone wants success. Everyone wants a better life, more wealth, more time, better relationships. But wanting alone won't get it done. That's like standing in front of the fireplace saying, "Give me heat, and then I'll give you the wood." It just doesn't work that way. You must feed the fire first. Discipline is the wood. Discipline is the fuel. It's the bridge between your goals and your results. Without it, the dream stays a dream. With it, you can build anything: wealth, strength, reputation, character. Now, when I was 25, I didn't know that. I was broke, behind on my promises, blaming everyone but me. I used to say, the government takes too much. Mr. Schaaf said, "No, Jim, you take too little." That's when I understood. If your life is to get better, you must get better. And daily discipline is how you get better. Discipline is doing what you should do. When you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. And that's tough, isn't it? Because we live in a world where feelings run the show. I don't feel like waking up early. I don't feel like reading today. I don't feel like making that call. But let me tell you something. If you only act when you feel like it, your life will always be run by emotion, not vision. Discipline is the muscle that lifts your future. Want to know what changed my life? I developed the habit of doing the uncomfortable until it became comfortable. I woke up early. I made the phone calls. I wrote in my journal. I read the books. I kept my word. And it didn't take long before the results began to show. Because here's the thing about discipline. It compounds. One good habit leads to another. One area of order spills into others. And over time, your whole life changes. Now, some people say, "Jim, I'm just not a disciplined person." I say, that's not true. Everyone has discipline. The question is, what are you disciplined about? Some people are disciplined about watching TV. Some are disciplined about complaining. Some are disciplined about eating junk food. That's discipline too. It's just not moving you forward. So the challenge is to replace disempowering disciplines with empowering ones. It doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. One choice at a time. And here's the secret. Start small. You don't have to overhaul your life in a week. Just start with one thing. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Read 10 pages a day. Make your bed. Track your expenses. Keep one promise to yourself every day. And if you slip, get back up. Miss a day? Restart. Fall off track. Recommit. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. And every time you follow through, you build trust with yourself. You start to believe in your own word. That's what builds confidence. That's what builds character. Wealth is attracted to order, not chaos. So if your finances are a mess, discipline is the answer. If your time is scattered, discipline is the answer. If your relationships are struggling, discipline is the answer. Because discipline touches everything, and it's always working, either for you or against you. Let me give you a phrase I used to say often. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. You'll never regret developing discipline, but you'll always regret the opportunity you missed because you didn't. So I challenge you, build a routine that reflects your vision. Make your daily agenda match your future goals. Become someone who does what needs to be done. Even when it's not fun, even when it's not easy. Because success is not owned, it's rented. And the rent is due every single day. Daily discipline. The invisible hand that builds visible results. Now, are you ready for the next habit? One that multiplies both your wealth and your character? Let's talk about giving more value than you take. The mindset that separates leaders from followers. Key habit 3. Give more value than you take. The secret to earning influence, income, and inner peace. Let me share with you a principle that has guided every truly successful person I've ever known. And it's simple. You must learn to give more value than you take. Now, at first glance, that might sound a bit counterintuitive, especially in a world that seems to ask, what's in it for me? A world that's always trying to get more, take more, and squeeze the most out of the least. But I'm here to tell you, lasting wealth, real influence, and genuine satisfaction come from serving, not scheming, from giving, not grabbing. Mr. Schaaf told me something once that hit me like a ton of bricks. He said, "Jim, don't ask what you're getting. Ask who you're becoming. Don't just earn a paycheck, earn a reputation. And how do you earn a reputation? You deliver value. You go the extra mile. You do more than you're paid for. You surprise people with your generosity, your effort, your care. That's the seed that produces the harvest. Here's what I've learned. If you work harder on yourself than you do on your job, you'll make a fortune. But if you work harder on your value than you do on your paycheck, your fortune will be built on character, and it will last. Giving more value means becoming someone people can count on, someone who delivers, someone who contributes. See, people of low value always focus on the minimum. What's the least I can do? How fast can I clock out? What can I get away with? But high achievers, they ask, how can I add more? How can I solve more problems? How can I make myself indispensable? Because here's a simple formula. The more problems you solve, the more value you bring. And the more value you bring, the more the marketplace rewards you. If you want to earn more, serve more. If you want influence, make other people's lives better. If you want your brand, your career, your relationships to grow, find ways to deliver value with no strings attached. Now, this is not just about money. It's about life. When you give more than you take in your marriage, you build trust. When you give more than you take in your community, you build goodwill. When you give more than you take in your business, you build loyalty. I'll never forget what one of my mentors said. Jim, always leave people better than you found them. That's value. Now you might say, but what if they don't appreciate it? Let me tell you something. Give anyway. Because what you do says more about you than what they do says about them. Give your best, and not because the world deserves it, but because that's who you are. And let me give you something practical. Start asking this question every day. How can I add value to someone's life today? Write a thank you note. Share a resource. Send a referral. Offer a kind word. Teach what you've learned. Help someone reach their goal, because the person who gives value without expectation will never go unnoticed for long. People will talk. People will refer you. People will trust you. And most importantly, you'll look in the mirror and respect the person you see. Remember this. The world pays for value, but it trusts character. And when you combine both, you become unstoppable. You want wealth? Earn it by being more valuable than the next person. You want character? Build it by giving without needing to get. You want legacy? Leave people better than you found them everywhere you go, because at the end of the day, we don't take anything with us, only the impact we made and the people we helped along the way. So make it your mission. Every room you enter, light it up. Every life you touch, lift it up. Every day you live, level up. That's the habit that builds wealth and character. Give more than you take. And that, my friends, brings us full circle. The life you want is built by the habits you choose. Let's wrap it up, my friend. We've talked today about habits, not just routines or to-do lists, but the building blocks of your future, the bricks in the wall of your success, the invisible hands shaping your character and carving out your destiny. And I told you at the beginning, wealth and character are not things you wish for, they're things you work for. And how do you work for them? By installing the right habits day by day, choice by choice. We began with the habit of self-education, the discipline of feeding your mind every single day. Because if you don't plant flowers in the garden of your mind, weeds will grow. So you've got to cultivate yourself. Read the books, listen to the lessons, study success. Why? Because you can't do better until you know better. And when you know better, you can become better. Then we moved to daily discipline. The quiet, unglamorous, powerful habit that separates the good from the great. It's not what you do once in a while that changes your life. It's what you do consistently, over time, in private, with purpose. Discipline is the difference between a goal and an achievement, between a dream and a legacy. And finally, we talked about giving more value than you take. That's the golden rule of the marketplace and of life. Don't be a taker, be a giver. Don't wait to be noticed. Make yourself valuable. Don't chase money, chase contribution, and the money will follow. Because people may forget what you said. They may even forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel and how you helped them grow. Now listen, you don't have to master all these habits overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is a successful life, but it was built daily, brick by brick, choice by choice, habit by habit. So start where you are. Start with what you have. Start small if you must, but start. Read a page, make a promise, and keep it. Add value to one person today, because here's the miracle of momentum. Once you get started, the habit begins to carry you. The new you becomes easier, the path becomes clearer, and the future becomes brighter. One final thought. Don't just aim to be successful, aim to be valuable. Don't just aim to be wealthy, aim to be wise. Don't just aim to have more, aim to become more. Because when you become more, you attract more respect, more influence, more joy, more fulfillment. That's what wealth really is. Not just money in your bank, but peace in your heart, strength in your character, and value in your contribution. So let's go out and live it. Let's build the habits that build the life, because your future is not written, it's built, and the tools are in your hands. Thank you, my friend.